Alright, so here is a quick tutorial on how to make associations in Sequelize with SQLite 3. I'm going to be making a new model real quick, and this one's going to be called member.js. So we're going to go ahead and let's just take the guild real quick. All that we're really going to be storing is their ID. We don't need anything else. And this is going to be their user ID. So it's not going to be auto increment. So let's just change this over to member. Oh, and we're also going to have to make a secondary primary key. These are both combined a primary key. So what this one is going to be is guild ID. So this one's going to be the ID of the member, and this one's going to be their guild ID. All right. So now we just go into syncdb. We do member dot sync dot sync force true. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do node sync db.js clear. Now we can hide that. We can do node dot. Oops. All right. So now we have the member. It's synced up as well. Now the way that we define an association is we do two things. First, we do member dot has many infraction. We also do infraction dot belongs to member. And this is a what's called one-to-many relationship. So the member has many infractions. And this is just saying that every infraction has to have a member associated with it as well. Now if we do node sync db.js, wow, I can't spell db.js. Now if we go ahead and we look in here and we go into members, infraction, we're going to have to force update both of these. So we just select both of them, control / to do that. There we go. Now if we go into the infractions, we see member ID. So now we can actually get rid of user ID. This member ID is actually connected to the member, which has many infractions. So if you go to the infraction, you're like infraction.getMember, it'll get you the member that that infraction is made under. So now we can get rid of the user ID. So if we go back into infraction, we can get rid of user ID. And let's take note of it here. Member ID from member.hasMany relationship. Or association, I can't remember. Object relational mapping, relationship, yeah. So anyway, now it's saying that member ID is from here. So we're just keeping note of that so we know to save it as member ID. Now if we go into warn, and we're gonna have to change all this later, but it's gonna be cool, trust me. So now we can do, this doesn't need to change. Okay. Now all we have to do is go into warn. And actually let's change this to member, because then it's actually correct. Now here's a different way of doing this. All right, so remember we have a guild ID and we have a user ID for a user. Well, it's actually member.id and member.guild.id is what we have. So first, const member equals require // models /member. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing we did earlier with when we were in the setup commands. We did the find or create. So I'm just going to copy this line, take it back over. We're going to save this as user. And we're going to change anywhere that it says user so wherever we're talking about the person that sent it, we have to change it from member to user. So what I did was I just looked for member, and anywhere down here that had member other than where we want it, because this is going to be the member for when you do member.find or create. And we're going to have to specify this to be target.id. We don't need to await that. Member.find or create. And then we're going to do member.create infraction. Would you look at that? And now we can get rid of user ID. We don't need to specify that anymore because the create infraction will do all that for us. So now it should be good to go. Let's see what happens. I'm sure I'm gonna find some errors, but that's just part of the fun. So we warn, oi there fool. And what do we get? Target.id. Options.getMember, member. Because we add a user mount. Oh, right. Because we made a change up here, we changed it from being called user to member. We have to make sure we update the command. That's completely on me. All right, so warn. There we go, member. Oi there fool. ID and guild ID. Right, guild ID is also required. So we got to specify guild ID is guild.id. Completely forgot about that. Member.create infraction. Okay, I believe I found the problem. So we were doing member as in a brand new member up here, but really it needs to be lowercase member because this is the member that we just found and it's an instance. So actually, let me clear this first. Let's see if this works. Modifying stuff is a real pain. Let's see if that, oh, whoops. I don't mean to do sync. I mean, infraction, sorry. Member dot has many infraction dot belongs to member. We might have to redeclare these. I can't remember if that's the case. It's been so long since I've done associations. Okay, so that seems to have done something. Infraction says no thing named member ID. What? Infraction says no thing named member ID. What? It did. Oh, right, because I resynced it by accident. Clear. That's my bad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have to redeclare this every time. So you could do this in your index.js file, but I'm just going to do it here. And then if we do this, yeah, there you go. But it's so nice to have that. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put it in my index.js file. So it redeclares that as soon as I run my code. So I can put that all the way down here. And any other associations you make sure you put them in here and in syncdb. Because when you run it in syncdb, that's telling it before it syncs up the database to do this, and that it needs to make sure that it has that association set up properly. And then before you run your code, you need to make sure that you're telling it that this is a thing, because that's then like making the method to do .create infraction type thing. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. So we go back to Warren. Oh, I guess I should yeah, so now it works just fine. You can warn them as many times as you want. Just make sure you set it up properly, unlike me. So really all the changes we made was we added the member here. We don't even need the infraction, but I'm gonna leave it there. And then what we're able to do is we're able to check if there's a member where the ID, their member ID is equal to the target.id and the guild ID. Because if you remember, we're getting the target ID, which is like who we're trying to warn. And then we're doing member.create infraction. We removed the user ID field because we don't need it, because it comes from member now, and now it's called member ID. So that's all good. That's all we need. Those are all the main changes. All right, bye for now. Like and subscribe. See you guys in the next episode. Bye for now. Website with code for all the videos is now in the description, so it's great. You can go on there. You can look at the code snippet /videos section, and what that has is it has old videos and it has code snippets underneath, so it helps you compare your code. It doesn't have the code word for word as you go further into the series, but it definitely does have a good starting point, and you can compare the core concepts to make sure you have exactly the right wording, because sometimes case sensitive stuff is a real big pain in the butt. For starting out, I have this as an option. So make sure to check that out, like and subscribe for more, and see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.